For a prayer, take the whole 30 minutes.
Yeah. You can pray it out, man.
Just go to that one.
Yeah, that's fair. Vision would have a wonderful spring show. Yeah. So. I talked to him all on yesterday. And see where we're at. Y'all are doing a good job being patient. Thank you. Yeah. I like your hair better too. Thank you. Who did Miss Summerall? Probably. Okay, we might need to switch spots. Did we get to the spring show? I'm not sure. I want to say they get it Sunday, Monday. But she'll be here in order. I'm He's here, he can't see us anyways. Wait patiently, darling. You can talk to us. What's your next competition?
It's my next competition's on April 11th.
That's my son's birthday. That's my
Your
anniversary.
son's birthday.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Where is your competition?
Tyler.
It's in Tyler.
Oh, they always Tyler.
That's the closest one.
Okay.
Saturday.
It's a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah.
Mine's by my house on the way.
3 shows.
3 days.
I mean, 3 days.
Which horse do you ride now?
I ride arrows.
Arrows.
My horse.
Okay. Not Abe anymore.
No, I don't have Abe anymore.
He's older.
He's got arrows.
He's the owner that had him it worked out really
Oh, wow. He's retired.
His old turnout, but
Yeah, so sweet.
You want to go stand up with
is that
Yes.
okay? He just
I'm
can't
about to
say
be
anything
through the
back.
wall.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Good to meet you. What's your name?
That's Nico.
Nico.
I'm Sully.
Sully, good to meet you.
Xavier.
Xavier, good to see you. Good to Xavier I met earlier, right?
Yes.
Yep, good to see you again.
Good to see you again.
Lee.
Hey, Lee. Yes.
Are we ready?
All set.
Okay. Thank you, Governor Abbott. Appreciate you coming in here today to visit with our students and see the great work that our staff do every day. You know, St. Timothy is heading into we're in our 25th year. It was founded by Dr. Warren seeing a gap between services that were available, frankly, in not only public schools but also in our private schools for students that have learning differences. And his original vision was to put these kids on a pathway to being able to return to a typical learning environment. He actually passed away shortly after the school launched, but the Lord has seen us through. And one of the things that we learned as our students got older and older is that this was actually the right environment for them throughout their educational experience. I am the board chair for the school, but I'm also the parent of a St. Timothy alum. Jacob is graduated in 2020. He's on the autism spectrum and was here K through 12. He's now in his second year of a learning differences program at the University of Arkansas and just absolutely thriving. The students that we support, we don't have a defined need from a diagnosis perspective that we work with. We evaluate each student individually and look to see, do they present a need that we can meet. And so right now, there are as many as 20 different diagnoses in the school. And very prevalent among that is autism spectrum disorder, ADHD, speech disabilities. But all of these kids are tremendous kids that are thriving in the environment that they're here with. Many of them come from our public schools because some of them just need a different scale of operation. They need a different learning environment or different techniques that our teachers are able to deliver. What I haven't mentioned, though, is that I actually have 2 children on the autism spectrum, and whereas St. Timothy in a private model was great for Jacob, our other son, Sam, did tremendously well in a public school environment. And, his public school that he was in for K through 12 did a great job of supporting his needs. Where I really appreciate your influence is the funding need for students, though, that do need something different than what our public schools are able to provide. They provide a great service, but like I said, Jacob benefited tremendously from being here. And what I value is making sure that this type of a solution for these students and students of future generations is available not just to families such as my own that are able to bear the financial burden that comes with that, but these private schools are tremendous value points for our Texas students, and we need to figure out a way that money is not an object or is not an obstacle for each of them getting what they need, whether it be public or private. So thank you for being here.
You got it. Thank you, Lee. So I want to thank Lee for opening up the school. I want to thank all the educators who are with us today, and I want to thank the students that I had the opportunity to get to visit with here. It's very impressive. Lee said something that I hear every stop that I make, and that is, for one, they work to provide an environment that works for each particular student. The other thing that he talked about, that literally every stop I make, I hear the same thing from parents, and that is they have more than one child. One child goes to a public school, one child goes to a private school, because the parent knows that a single school may not be the right choice for each of their children. And instead, a public school is right for one and a private school is right for another. The reality, similar differences exist in families across the entire state of Texas. You can take your situation and literally multiply it times 1 million across our state. Our goal is to make sure that we put the power in the hands of parents like Lee, because Lee knows what's best for his children, just like every parent around the state knows what's best for their child. The job of the state is to empower parents, the first educator of children, to be the perpetual educator of their children by choosing the education pathway that's best for their child. Whether it be a child with special needs or a child that doesn't have special needs but just going to a different school, could be a local public school or a local private school, whatever the case may be. The state believes those parents must be empowered to choose the education pathway that's best for their child. Last thing that Lee talked about was the importance of financial support. Again, I've talked to parents across the state of Texas that they know that their child is not in the right education situation for them, and they want to find a different education situation for them, but it costs more money than they have. With the amount of money being allocated per student for the school choice program, is going to empower an entire generation of parents to be able to choose the education pathway that truly is best for their child. I'm very proud of the Texas House now having enough votes to be able to get this passed, like the Senate has passed it. I look forward to the bill being voted out of the Texas House committee either later this week or probably next week, and then hitting the House floor probably sometime in early April, and getting that passed so we can quickly empower parents across the entire state of Texas to choose the education that's best for their child. Take a few questions.
Governor, thank you so much. So why was it important for you to be at a school that highlights the fact that they can accommodate students with learning disabilities of a variety of kinds, special needs, et cetera? And we heard from Democrats at the Texas House Committee last week saying that private schools aren't required to provide this kind of education. The public schools are. So talk to me a little bit about that and the notion that Democrats raised last week, their concerns that this could be a budget buster, not in the first year with $1 billion, but years out, 5 years out, could be $8 billion if I am.
As I've traveled the state, I've talked to so many parents who tell me that their child has special needs, and their special needs are not being met by their local public school. And they need an option, but they cannot afford that option. And so what the state wants to do is to ensure that every parent of a child with special needs is going to be able to have the education pathway that's best for them, which could be their local public school. But if the local public school is not living up to what's needed, they'll have that option by choosing a school like St. Timothy's that's capable of providing that education for a child. Listen, with regard to funding, those legislators, they know full well that the arguments they made are completely false, because legislators know that the budget is set and the appropriation is made every session by legislators. You cannot have a program cost more in out years than what you want to appropriate, because you get to make that appropriation every session. So the only amount that is going to cost 2 years, 4 years, 8 years, 10 years from now is going to be exactly how much is appropriated. Here's my point. It's impossible for the program to grow so large for the budget that we can't afford it, because we're only going to appropriate to it that which is affordable for the state.
Governor, do you plan on taking this voucher tour any public schools in the state? And yes, no, kind of what's the mindset behind where you've been going into
So we're going to schools and to parents that are in that process of choosing an alternative to public schools. Every place I've been, there have been educators and administrators from public schools at those locations that I talked to about what's going on, and they learn more about it. Even at an event that I spoke at this past weekend, it was filled with elected school board members. And when they heard how the program really works, they came up to me and said, you know what? We didn't know that it really provided all of this, and it changed their mind. Every time I talk, there's public educators there, and they learn more about it, and they see that it's not filled with all the false narratives and false lies that are being advanced by the Democrats. When they see how it really works, they too support it.
I wanted to ask you about your other gathering today. So the NASDAQ says they're going to have a regional Dallas office now for the Southeast United States. This comes on top of the Texas Stock Exchange being created in Dallas, on top of the New York Stock Exchange relocating its Chicago operation to the Dallas area, to Dallas. So connect the dots for me, if you will. What's going on in Dallas, and what does this mean for jobs and for businesses and for people here in Texas?
In a 2-year time span, there have been 3 stock exchanges announced the location in Dallas. The Texas Stock Exchange kicked it off. The New York Stock Exchange announced they were creating a regional office here, and then today the NASDAQ Stock Exchange announced a regional office here also. There are reasons for that. One is because Texas has the fastest growing economy than any state in the United States. We're the home of capital in the country, and now we're going to be the home of capital markets. For the past 1 or 2 decades, there's been a rapid growth in the financial services sector here, and that's being punctuated with the finishing of the Goldman Sachs building in downtown Dallas, the Charles Schwab headquarters out at Alliance. You have, I think, more employees for J.P. Morgan Chase in Texas than any other state, with the Dallas region being the largest. You have this new Wells Fargo campus going up in Irving. So the Dallas area writ large has turned out to be the second largest financial center in the United States, with New York being the first. That's swiftly changing, however, with people leaving New York and going to places like Texas. And we're seeing that it's the Dallas area that really is ground zero for the future of the financial industry and especially capital markets.
Why Dallas? You talk to these CEOs all the time.
Right. Because, as an example, it's not happening in Houston. Houston is known as the energy capital, and if there were big energy headquarters, they would more likely be in the Houston area. The infrastructure for energy is in Houston. The infrastructure for the financial sector is here in Dallas. You have the professionals here. You have the businesses here. The co-headquarter locations or regional headquarter locations. They're all located here, and so you just have the financial personnel infrastructure that exists in Dallas, more so than any other place, with the exception being New York.
Last question.
I wanted to ask you about, just about abortion. Senator Hughes and Representative Guerin filed bills to really focus in on the exception of abortion because of, there have been some deaths, et cetera, questions about it, concerns about it. So do you support these? I know Democrats have signed on at the Capitol as well.
So there's one piece of legislation I'm familiar with. It's the Hughes legislation. And the focal point there is something that we said from the very beginning, and that is the life of the mother matters. And the life of the mother must be preserved and saved. And because some people misconstrued the way the law was intended to work, this is an effort to provide clarity that doctors can and must do what is necessary to save the life of the mother. Anybody have anything else on education? All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.